Welcome to the Tyler Werner Show, discussing all the latest in Philadelphia sports.
And how about that LeGarrette Blount and the Philadelphia Eagles kind of steamrolling the Los Angeles Chargers on the ground once again, with Doug Peterson calling a pretty good game this week with nothing really to complain about when it comes to Doug Peterson. Meanwhile, the defense held their ground, no Fletcher Cox out there. And we're looking at an Eagles team now that is 3-1, as they were last year. But is it a different 3-1? Is this an Eagles team that can maybe win the NFC East this year, given the way the rest of the division maybe is not as good as the Eagles? I don't know. Not to mention, Eagles fans made their presence known out at Los Angeles, as it almost seemed like Lincoln Financial Field on the West Coast. Good job all around getting a win that many of us, including myself, did not have down as a win on the schedule.
And now, here's Tyler Werner.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tyler Werner Show.
Oh, man.
And yes, the Eagles are 3-1 now, as they leap ahead with a win here against the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm tempted to call them the San Diego Chargers, as we have been for many years, but as Mark Schlerich did apparently in the during the broadcast. But here's another team, another winless team that the Eagles beat, albeit again in a desperate situation like the Giants were last week when the Eagles narrowly beat them. And same thing with the Chargers. Here, look, the Giants, the Chargers, they're just not good teams. All right? And yeah, the Eagles, those games could have gone either way. The Eagles could have lost those games. They didn't beat them convincingly. However you want to slice it, yeah. But at the end of the day, the Eagles won the game. And Fletcher Cox was out on the defense. That's a bit of a hole there. Jordan Hicks wasn't maybe at full strength. Obviously, the secondary has what they have right now. But for the most part, they held up. And they got the win. That's the most important thing. And for maybe once, maybe the first time this season, we don't have anything to say. I mean, after this game, we don't have anything but to really praise Doug Peterson for the game he called on Sunday.
I just felt comfortable, confident and comfortable.
He was confident and comfortable in what he was doing, I guess you could say, as he in his last week press conference with what he was doing on the 4th and 8, and kind of invented a word there. But for one, I mean, Doug Peterson, great called game, and again, the run game was pretty fierce. LeGarrette Blount getting 16 carries for 136 yards for an 8.5 yards per carry, and he had that one bust out run where he was breaking tackles, putting a spin move on. He didn't quite get in the end zone, but he pretty much set up a touchdown thereafter. And that's what that's what you want to see. That's what we didn't see the first couple of weeks, especially week 2. And now we're seeing a team, I mean, they ran, you include Carson Wentz's runs, they ran 42 times. Carson Wentz threw 31 passes, 17 for 31. That is beyond balance, my friend. This has become a smash mouth team. With the run, at least the last couple of weeks, with the running game. Look, they're not blowing the teams out, but they were working the clock. And at the end, they got touchdown when they needed it. And that's the most important thing. They come out their first 4 drives. They don't get a touchdown on every one of them, but they score on each one. Come out with a touchdown, couple field goals, all is well. Jake Elliott, no misses this week. He had a couple longer field goals. One was, I think 53 yards. He didn't miss a beat. He made the kicks. 4 for 4. Yeah, long of 53. So great job out of Jake, remaining consistent thus far. But again, the star of this game, LeGarrette Blount, came into form, and he showed that he's got it still. He's still got something left in the tank. And that's what I was saying. You wouldn't know unless you give him the ball. What happened this game? He gave him the ball again, and he was good again. He was great. Thundering his way through tackles. And you know what? If you can give LeGarrette Blount the ball 16 times a game, beyond that, you can go ahead and give Wendell Smallwood the ball 10 times. You can go ahead and give Corey Clement 10 carries as well, which is what they did. If you can give LeGarrette Blount the ball 16 times and he's that effective, you can have this running back by committee thing, where Smallwood and Clement can both get the ball 10 times and be effective. Change up guys. Give Blount a bit of a breather, because after that big long run where he busted a few tackles and put a spin move on a guy, maybe he needed maybe he was chugging his way to the last couple of yards of the end zone and didn't quite get in, and I think he admitted himself he kind of needed a breather after that. And they were able to pound the ball in with Smallwood. Great job. Did what they had to do on offense. Carson Wentz, he didn't. Again, the running game here, controlling the clock, milking longer drives. It's almost as if Carson Wentz, he kind of had to be a game. He didn't have to be much beyond a game manager here, but he did great. He didn't make any real mistakes that you can really think of. And again, so far, both of his interceptions were batted balls this season. Turned in a pretty good performance this week. Ertz continuing to be efficient. 5 receptions for 81 yards. Even Nelson Aguilar, three receptions, but for 58 yards. Few nice ones from Smallwood out of the backfield. Alshon Jeffrey with a touchdown. Torrey Smith, he's having a bit of a case of the drops this year. He's still got his speed, but got a bit of a case of the dropsies this year. That might be the only concern on offense. The offensive line played great, again, with the running game especially. I believe there's... I was hearing that Lane Johnson was at one point kind of motioning to the sideline, let's keep running the ball. This is going well. The offensive line was doing what it needed to do. It was open up great running lanes, and for guys like LeGarrette Blount to pound the ball right through, they were effective. Great thing to see. Bo Allen getting his first career sack. How about that? As disruptive as he can be sometimes. That's his only sack of his career thus far. It's a little hard to believe. Chris Long getting in there for a sack. Overall, the defense, they did what they did what they could. At the end of the day, it was a win. They did enough with what they had. They're still missing, Darby in the secondary. We've got to wait a few more weeks for that. Got to hope that Fletcher Cox comes back. But again, they took care of business. That's the bottom line. And they're 3-1 now, where I had them at 2-2. after this Week 4 matchup. Maybe the Chargers are a little worse than what I thought. I mean, they're right down there with the Giants and the Browns as 0-4 teams, and I don't know if I'm missing anybody else who may be 0-4. But all is well this week. And you know what? They're hosting the Arizona Cardinals this week. They're bringing it back home. And they got a winnable game here against the Cardinals. What can you say? No David Johnson. This is, this is a great opportunity for the Eagles to move to 4-1 now. And barring how the rest of the division does, move out to maybe a significant lead in the division.
Oh, man.
I mean, the Redskins lost this week to the Chiefs. Chiefs remain the only unbeaten team in the NFL. With Andy Reid.
Time's yours.
Continuing to take care of business. And what more can you say? The Eagles, they have the win over the Washington Redskins from Week 1. So it's kind of like they're a game and a half ahead of the Redskins. The Cowboys fell to 2-2 after losing to the Rams. Kind of coughing up that game a little bit. The Rams, you wonder if they're for real. They're 3-1. But right now, the Eagles are holding first place in this division, which you gotta love. Giants are out of it. They're done. So, and still, I don't know what with this Ezekiel Elliott suspension, if it's going to come down or not. But all is well right now in Philadelphia Eagle land, if you will. Again, that building in Los Angeles, it's like a soccer stadium. Yeah, it seats, the seating capacity is 25,000 or something. I don't know. But apparently the Chargers fans, they don't care as much about their football. Whereas you have Eagle fans that are traveling cross-country there to support their team.
I agree.
And you know what? Just as a little, I guess, hint. Slight spoiler. We have a call out of the week to get to, which we'll get to on the other side or in the second segment of the show. In regards to Philadelphia Eagle fans being attacked by a national guy who, again,
I've seen it enough.
Yeah, I've seen and heard enough of national guys attacking the Philadelphia Eagle fan base and not really having. It's like they have an agenda sometimes. I don't know why. And then they don't really have legitimate facts to back it up. Or they just ignore some key facts and don't have legitimate ones. But I don't want to spoil too much of that. We'll get to it on the other side. Because the Philadelphia Eagles are 3-1 in an NFC that's kind of full of 3-1 teams. You got the Falcons that are 3-1, the Packers, the Carolina Panthers, the Rams, the Lions, and the Eagles as the only NFC East team right now that is 3-1. I think now that the Eagles, after the first quarter of the season, it's hard to believe we're already a quarter of the way through the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles regular season. We'll go down the rest of the schedule again, kind of maybe recalibrate a little bit. Because some teams are maybe a little better than we thought. Other teams maybe not quite as good as we thought they'd be. Maybe they got injury situations that are going to hamper them a little bit. Pending suspensions. Well, I think later on in the we'll go down the schedule again. I do got to mention, too, it is opening day of Flyers hockey season. Which is definitely something not to be taken lightly, although we are in the midst of quite an interesting Eagles season thus far. So we'll I don't know how much Flyers talk we'll really get to until maybe the season gets going a little bit. But right now we got Eagles football in full form, and we got a 3-1 team. We got a team that very well could win this NFC East division. And you know, maybe now, I mean, do you expect this team to win this division or get in the playoffs? I'm not so sure a wild card team comes out of this division this year. Especially given that, you know, you gotta count the Falcons in there maybe as winning that division, or the Panthers, who I said we're gonna have a bounce back season, and it looks like they're gonna have that, as they defeated the New England Patriots this week. Cam Newton looking like the MVP of a couple of years ago. So I would think both of those teams might be probably playoff teams. And then you got to, who knows what the Buccaneers, they're 2-1 right now. See where they go as the season unfolds. And Lions, obviously the Packers, a playoff team, and the Lions might be looking like a playoff team as well. The Seahawks, I think they're 2-2. They started 2-2 a couple of seasons ago, I believe, and they finished 12-4. The cream rises to the top. I got to think they're going to win 10 games minimum still. So them and the Rams, you know, you wonder, are the Rams, I don't know if are the Rams for real? They're 3-1. It's still early, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, one or two of these teams are bound to kind of fall off the cliff a little bit. I mean, the Vikings, they started 5-0 last year. They finished 8-8, I think. So, you know, we're still kind of in a wait-and-see mode for some of these teams. And could we be for the Philadelphia Eagles? Are we kind of in a wait-and-see mode? I mean, are they going to be knocked down to earth or something? I don't know. But they got the Arizona Cardinals coming in here, Sunday 1 o'clock game, and I think it's a rather winnable game. And that this Eagles team will be moving to 4-1 this week. I could be wrong. I mean, I was wrong that they were going to go to the San Diego Chargers and lose, even though they narrowly won. But a win is a win. Maybe the Cardinals come in here and maybe they upset the Philadelphia Eagles. But I believe the Eagles are already a 6-point favorite, I think, in Vegas. I don't know. Of course, we'll go around the NFL, top 5 thoughts around the NFL. Week 4 edition. We're already a quarter of the way through the NFL season. We got first round. We got regular season buys coming up this week. I know the Falcons are on a bye. I know that because I got a few Falcons offensive starters on my fantasy team that I'm going to have to bench this week. But we got that. We got a call out of the week coming up that I got to get into and more right here on the Tyler Werner Show. We're coming back at you right after this on this week's edition of the Tyler Werner Show.
Attention parents. Is your under 18-year-old daughter being cyberstalked by a man who identifies themselves as a grown adult male?
I want to meet you and fool around. Are you up to meeting tonight, hon? I think I would like to shower with you. We can do it in the shower, too.
If so, you need to contact Chris Hansen and Company to bust these online cyberstalkers.
How are you tonight? Why don't you have a seat there and get comfortable for that?
I guess you're going to tell me next that this is the very first time you've done something like this.
Chris Hansen and the Dateline crew will take care of it. Contact us, and we will put an end to the cyberstalking that your daughter is experiencing.
Well, there's something you got to know. I am Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on computer predators.
Busted!
What defines the perfect ball? It's not just about size when it comes to Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs.
I've handled dozens of balls over the past week. We prepare our balls over time. The texture of the balls is very easy to identify.
And that slow-cooked texture is one of the qualities that make Brady and Belichick's meatballs stand above the rest. But it's also Brady's unique rubbing process that only he has the authority to perform.
When I pick those balls out, to me they're perfect. I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them. To me, those balls are perfect.
Once the balls reached an equilibrium, we're down to the rubbing process.
Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs. When you're looking to make it a pasta night, or doing a little catering, like Brady would say, to me, those balls are perfect.
It's time for Tyler Werner's Call-Out of the Week.
I just think somebody owes us an explanation, that's all.
What's the matter with you? Loser! You're a loser!
Are you kidding me?
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every word I have to say!
And yes, it is time for a Tyler Werner Show Call-Out of the Week, as I hinted at earlier. As Colin Cowherd on his Tuesday broadcast, I guess had nothing better to do, had some kind of agenda over in Los Angeles, of all places, to basically bash the Philadelphia Eagle fans, Philadelphia sports fans, calling us the most stupid fan base, and yada yada. The 3-minute piece of audio here. Actually, I'll let that do the telling first of all, and then we'll get into it because this is ridiculous. I gotta hit on this. So let's hear. And saying how he's also saying about how we ran Andy Reid out of town. That same old lament. Let's listen in and discuss afterwards.
I want to talk about the city of Philadelphia for 3 minutes, which has to be the dumbest sports city in America, because they ran Andy Reid out of town. This is amazing. Andy Reid's won 60% of his NFL games with average to below average quarterbacks. Nobody's done that in 20 years. He got to 5 NFC championships and a Super Bowl with a quarterback with an 85 passer rating in his career and a 59% completion ratio, Donovan McNabb. Nobody does that. Andy Reid has won 61% of his games. That's better than Mike Holmgren, who had a Hall of Fame quarterback or two. Bill Parcells, Tom Coughlin. It's even with a legend, Tom Landry. But Andy Reid got run out of Philadelphia. Now think about that. He won 4 straight NFC championships. Aaron Rodgers, with a great coach, with a good GM, in a weaker division. Aaron Rodgers, 8 years, 3 NFC championships. And he went to 5. Andy Reid was bum rushed out of Philadelphia. By the way, 19 years coaching, 16 non-losing seasons with average quarterbacks. He single-handedly resurrected Michael Vick's career. He single-handedly resurrected Alex Smith's career. San Francisco kicked Alex Smith out of town. Who does that? Winning with average quarterbacks. Joe Gibbs, about the only one I can think of, and he's called a legend. But this is what Philadelphia does. The Phillies had Terry Francona. They ran him out of town. He's the best manager in baseball. He wins everywhere. Since leaving Philadelphia, Terry Francona has been managing 14 years. He's never had a losing record. Do you get how hard that is? Oh, they did it with Jay Wright at Villanova. Rolly Massimino won a national championship. They gave the job to Jay Wright. He's won 71% of his games. In the last 3 years, he's the winningest program in college basketball. It's got tough academics. It's not big and large and profound like North Carolina. It's a small private school in Philadelphia, which has a number of good college basketball programs in the region. And they've been on Jay Wright before he won that title for years. Are you people crazy? You ran Andy Reid out of town. You ran Terry Francona out of town. Jay Wright's one of the top 5 coaches in college basketball. You're on him constantly. By the way, Philly was originally the nation's capital, and you blew that too. Yeah, late 1700s. You probably ran George Washington out of town. I'm sorry. Andy Reid's been in the sport 20 years. He's winning more than Holmgren, Parcells, and Coughlin. Run out of town. Resurrecting careers. Maybe Philly fans are so dopey they just don't like the word read. They don't like to read. I don't know what it is. But you cheered Michael Irvin's career-ending injury. I can't trust a fan base that has a courtroom and a jail under their stadium. But do you get and appreciate how good Francona, Jay Wright, and Andy Reid are? He's doing what nobody can do in football. Win with quarterbacks people don't want. It's incredible, and they're the best team in the NFL. They are.
All right, that's what an idiot. I'm sorry. Colin, what the hell does he come on the radio? I guess maybe he was talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and how they're 4-0, the only remaining undefeated team in the NFL right now. That's all well and dandy. Maybe that's what he was talking about. But what provokes him to go on this 4-minute rant or whatever about Philadelphia fans being the and that how we ran Andy Reid out of town, how we ran Tony Francona, who, by the way, Terry was 285 and 63, in 363 win-loss, 0.44 win percentage. He actually got worse as his career went on with the Phillies. Yeah, he's been with great teams since, obviously. But the point, just like Andy Reid, the Andy Reid thing went sour. Yeah, he went to several NFC championship games early in his career. But as I've continued to say, 1-3 is a favorite in him. Really. Give him a pass in the first one against the Rams. The Rams were a better team. But the Buccaneers, the Panthers, what happened there? The Eagles were the better team there. And against the Cardinals. Last 3 years was a steady decline for Andy Reid. 10-6. 8-8, and 4-12. The message was gone with that 4-12 season. I guess Colin totally forgets that. Just like everybody else rants about how we ran Andy Reid out of town. He had 14 freaking years here to win a Super Bowl, and he didn't. All right, that's the bottom line. You could, great regular season coach, whatever. That's great. He's done a great job so far in Kansas City, although you can argue that in his 4 years, 3 of which I believe were playoff years, and this year probably be a playoff year, he's yet to get to an AFC championship. Let's see if maybe this year he breaks through. And the Chiefs do that. I don't know. But come on. Enough of this nonsense about how we ran Andy Reid out of town and how originally, Philadelphia was the capital of the United States, they ruined that too. Like, come on. You're going to go colonial on us now? Philadelphia was like a temporary capital. They were, while the District of Columbia was being built or whatever. Like, what gives Colin Cowherd this kind of agenda? I really don't understand it. Is it maybe because he's over there in California and more freaking Philadelphia Eagle fans show up at their own stadium than Los Angeles Charger fans? Is that like come on. That's a faithful fan base right there. And we have bandwagoners in this area that, the Eagles, they never won a championship. And, they ran Andy Reid out of town, their best coach ever, and yada, yada. And they root for another team. They root for, because this team has more champions. The Eagles don't have any. Blah, blah, blah. Well, you got these Eagle fans that are wearing their hearts on their sleeve. They're traveling out West Coast, filling the building up with Eagles fanfare, more so than the home freaking team 3,000 miles away from, Philadelphia. Like, come on. He'll call us whatever he called us. And then he wants to go like, maybe they don't like the word read or something. Maybe they don't like to read. Like, come on. You want to play that game? It's two totally different spellings, for one thing. Cowherd's sounding like an immature punk, if you ask me. What the hell does he have against Philadelphia so much? He's 3,000 miles away, and he's going to bring up all this nonsense, how he ran Andy Reid out of town? Give me a break. He didn't get the job done. He didn't win a Super Bowl here. And things went sour at the end. I guess everyone forgets that. Colin Cowherd, guys like them, they act like with Andy Reid, we were on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl and then we clipped him. No, it wasn't the case, buddy. God, what an idiot. I don't understand how a guy, to be fair, that magnitude can say such stupid and outlandish things. Not have anything to really back it up. You want to bring up, he's won 60% of his games and yada yada, and so he mistakenly said they won 4 NFC championship games or whatever. And, okay. And he wants to point out the fact that Aaron Rodgers and that regime only went to 3 NFC championship games. Well, at least they have a Super Bowl in the bank. That's something we don't have here with Philadelphia in those 14 years. Yeah, I would think that Rodgers, they maybe could have won more Super. Maybe they're missing another Super Bowl or two to their bank or whatever, but Colin, that's more than we have here in Philadelphia. That's more than Andy Reid accomplished as far as championships are concerned. All right, I'm not going to harp on that all day. Because just chew that up and spit it out back in his face. But nevertheless, Andy Reid and the Chiefs are 4-0. They are the only undefeated team in the NFL right now. That's great. Good for him. We are 3-1 here in Philadelphia Eagle land. And what we're looking at is perhaps, depending, I don't know what happens with the Cowboys. They seem like there's a little bit of dissension within the organization. Not to mention this whole Ezekiel Elliott suspension that may hang overhead. And maybe, I don't know, maybe last year was one of those lightning in a bottle years They finished 13-3. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it with the Chargers. The one year they went 14-2, but it didn't really amount to anything. It happens here and there. Hey, kind of, Colin Cowherd was saying about Andy Reid with mediocre quarterbacks. What he's doing with, it's not like he's the first guy that, I mean, the Chicago Bears had a lightning in a bottle year. What was it, 2007 season? They went 13-3, went to the Super Bowl for that matter, lost to the Colts. That was Peyton Manning's first championship ring then.
Chicken parm, you taste so good.
So, maybe it was just a lightning in a bottle year for the Cowboys last year. I don't know. The Rams, I mean, they took care of business. What can you say? They're 3-1. The Redskins looked like they were putting up a good fight against the Kansas City Chiefs, like the Eagles were, but they came up short. They're 2-2. I wanted to kind of go down the schedule again, as a matter of fact, as I mentioned earlier, to see maybe how things maybe shake up a little bit so far. Because, you know, for instance, the Raiders, maybe they're not going to be quite the same as they were last year. Derek Carr looks like he might be missing some time with some back issues. So, you know, that, but then you look at the Rams, and they're looking a little better than we thought. But do they come back down to earth? So you kind of have this. I don't know, you're seeing. You can start to see some changes here and there, and the Giants, they look like garbage. So I want to go down the rest of the schedule here, the remaining 12 games. Still a lot of football to be played. Starting with the Cardinals, I have the Eagles winning this game. Then the next week, they go to the Panthers. Panthers win that game. That's going to be Thursday night football. Short week there for the Eagles. And I believe the Panthers, unless they have their bye week this coming week, but I don't believe they do. So that would put the Eagles at 4-2. The next week, the Redskins coming here. Sunday night football. Eagles with a little extra time, having played a Thursday night before. So I think that can be a win for the Eagles, 5-2. Then the Niners come here the week after, 6-2. Oh, I'm sorry, that Redskins game, it looks like that's going to be on a Monday, actually, as a matter of fact. So that's a little extra time for them there. And I guess the Redskins a day extra. But still win. And then the Niners come in here too. And, you know, that's probably another win for the Eagles. 6-2. Then the Broncos come here. I think that's a tough game. 6-3 for the Eagles. The Eagles at Dallas, 6-4. Then the Bears come here. Eagles win, 7-4. Eagles got to go to Seattle. Loss, 7-5. Eagles at the Rams. This could be a swing game right here. Depending where the Rams are at this time. If the Rams come back down to earth, Eagles win. If not, if maybe the Rams are for real, that's a tough game. Tough road trip for the Eagles. Having played the Seahawks the week before. So I would chalk that as a loss. But then, Eagles at Giants. Giants stink. That's a win. Raiders at Eagles. I've had that as a win anyways. I don't think the Raiders are looking as hot as maybe they did last year. And then Cowboys at Eagles, New Year's Eve afternoon to close out the season. That's a win. Revenge situation. Cowboys got to come here. That's a win and probably wins the division at 10-6. And that Rams swing game again. I see where they're at. Maybe they win it. I don't know. Originally, I had that as a win. But then again, I think the Rams are playing a little better than we all thought they would. So if that Rams team stays as is, then I'd venture to say that's a loss. I don't know what's going to happen with the Rams. But I had 10, maybe 11 wins. I think the Eagles are good enough to win this division, having gone down the schedule. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to have playoffs the way things are looking.
Trust the process.
Do you trust the process? And you know what? If they can continue to run the ball, I mean, did we forget the week before that Darren Sproles is out for the season and that his career is he's probably going to hang him up at this point? It's like, did we forget that? Because the way LeGarrette Blount ran, the way this Eagles team, it's like they're running the ball more. They're doing more with the running game, with the running backs, it seems. Oddly enough. Not to mention, maybe they get Ronald Darby back mid-season. We're in for an interesting season, it seems. I feel Carson Wentz has developed a little more now into his starting role. He's looking like a seasoned veteran. He could still maybe work on the deep ball a little bit. A couple things here and there, but he's rounding into form. I think we're looking at now at a 10-6, maybe 11-5 team that wins the NFC East.
Who said it?
We'll come back on the other side. We had the call out of the week. We kind of had to postpone to the third closing segment, going around the NFL, top 5 thoughts. Take a look around the NFL, and take a look at power rankings, where the Eagles may factor in all this, where other teams factor in the league right now. It is the Tyler Werner Show. Stay tuned for more after this.
Hi there, I'm Hank Hill. Well, I'd like to tell you what Strickland can do to meet your energy needs. You see, at Strickland, the customer comes first. It's kind of interesting. The word customer begins with CU. Well, we don't see you as just another sale, but as a member of our team. I thought you might enjoy 7.5 gallons of pure premium propane. Strickland Propane, the customer comes first.
It's no big news flash that many people, you included, eat as a way to medicate themselves. You can choose to worry about it or not. You can choose to panic about your situation or not. It's clear what you must do in order to make important changes.
5 letters here. RELAX. Relax. We're going to be okay.
In order for you ever to effectively figure out and map how to get to where you want to go, you have to first know exactly where you are starting.
RELAX. Relax.
You have to be willing to change what you're doing. You can change your behavior.
Back on the Tyler Werner Show. And ladies and gentlemen, as this segment being recorded after the Flyers opening their season, they opened the season with a win, ladies and gentlemen. 5-3 at San Jose, the beginning of the season to open up a 3-game road trip over in California. Wayne Simmons opening the season with a hat trick. 3 goals, 3 shots on goal, mind you. Putting each one in the net. Claude Giroux getting in there with a goal, as well as Jordan Wheel. Flyers start the season on a high note, defeating the San Jose Sharks 5-3. They got the Los Angeles Kings coming up Thursday night at 10 o'clock. And the Anaheim Ducks on Saturday. Not to mention they travel to Nashville after that on Tuesday. Get a couple days break and take on the Predators to conclude, I guess, a 4-game road trip. I said 3-game. 3 games in California, and they're going over to Nashville. Take on the Predators to open the season. 4-game road trip to start things off. How about that? Good start for the Flyers, getting a 5-3 win. And again, Wayne Simmons with the hat trick. So we were talking about, obviously, a few things on this show. Colin Cowherd. I mean, the guy got an agenda or something with like this love affair with Andy Reid. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with Colin Cowherd, but this fan base. You want to call it, like, we must be the dumbest fan. Like, come on. And then how we ran Andy Reid out of town. And, like, again, out in Los Angeles, who is filling the air at the San Diego Chargers? Or, I'm sorry, there it is. The Los Angeles Chargers and Philadelphia Eagles game on Sunday. Who seemed to? It seemed, if you just listened to the game on radio, didn't even pay, like, it sounded like a Philadelphia Eagles home game, but it wasn't. This goes to show you, dedicated fans making the trip cross country to Los Angeles, filling that stadium with some Eagles green in the stands. How about that? That's a faithful fan base right there. All right. Kind of off the cuff here, but since we didn't get to do this earlier in the show, it's time to go around the NFL like we do each week. Top 5 thoughts around the NFL Week 4 edition. And we had some interesting results, without question. And we start with number 5. And ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Steelers with a big win against their rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. Steelers moving to 3-1 by defeating the Ravens 26-9. You know, usually these games are a bit more of a bloodbath, but the Steelers, they had the Ravens' number in Baltimore. And they now take the lead in the NFC North Division currently, as the Steelers looking in good form. And then thought number 4, how about the Houston Texans obliterating the Tennessee Titans division game. 57-14. For the biggest win biggest score in Houston's Texans history by finishing the day with 57 points. How about that? I'm going to go down the list a little bit. The St. Louis Rams. I'm sorry. Here we go again. These teams are moving. I'm calling them by their old city name. The Los Angeles Rams. These Los Angeles teams. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Dallas Cowboys 35-30. We already talked about this earlier. The Cowboys fall to 2-2. The Rams are 3-1. Todd Gurley, second in the league in rushing right now, behind Kareem Hunt. How about this Rams offense? We were talking about the defense for the Rams. How about their offense? Jared Goff in his second year kind of coming into form a little bit. He may not still be a Carson Wentz, but Rams, offensive juggernaut it seems, as of late. All right, number 2 thought around the NFL in Week 4. It has to be the Carolina Panthers going to New England and defeating the Patriots 33-10, eking one out. Patriots fall to 2-2. Panthers move to 3-1, and they're looking like a contender this year. Brady offensively, I mean, the Patriots, they're not struggling on offense, but the problem is the Patriots defense is making opposing quarterbacks look like Tom Brady, if that makes any sense. And the Patriots find themselves at 2-2 right now. We'll see what they do on Thursday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we'll see afterwards what the Patriots and Bill Belichick have to say about that game.
This is the end of this subject for me for a long time.
Number 1 thought around the NFL, Week 4 edition. Ladies and gentlemen, it's got to be the Buffalo Bills. Perhaps upsetting the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Defeating the Falcons 23-17. Defending NFC champions. Falcons fall to 3-1. And the Bills move to 3-1. They are leading the AFC East. And again, we'll see maybe if the Patriots have something to say about this. But right now, the Bills are atop the division. When everybody thought this might be a tank year for them. There's still a lot of season left to be played. So we'll see if... it remains to be seen if the Bills ultimately do snap this playoff drought that's been going on since, I believe, 2000. For crying out loud. But for now, the Bills are looking pretty good, especially on defense. And that thereby concludes my top 5 thoughts around the NFL Week 4 edition, and we will see what happens. Beginning with Thursday Night Football, the Patriots again on Thursday Night Football. They open the season on Thursday night against the Chiefs. We'll see what happens when they take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 2-1. Doug Martin, after being suspended for the first 4 games of the season, making his debut for the regular season. And we shall see what happens. You know, this is a big game for the Patriots. Big game for both teams, really. The Buccaneers, they're in a tough division. That NFC South division, I mean, it's kind of, so far, it's kind of looking like what I thought it would this season. Might be a bit of a bloodbath of the division. We shall see. And again, the Patriots, they're fighting a bit of an uphill battle. Their defense is struggling. We'll discuss next week on the Tyler Werner Show where things stand. Again, the Chiefs, the only remaining undefeated team after 4 weeks of play, Only one 4-0 team? That's like unheard of. But the Eagles are a 3-1 team amongst many 3-1 teams. There's no, I mean, this NFC, it's kind of wide open, it seems, in a sense that there are a lot of teams that could make the playoffs. And these 2-2 teams, you can't quite count the Cowboys out. I don't think the Redskins are that good. And I think the Eagles kind of showed that, albeit in week 1. But, they're in the mix, the Redskins. It seems, as far as play, the Detroit Lions, maybe the Vikings, the Packers are obviously in the mix. Maybe the whole NFC South division is in the playoff mix this year for the NFC. But there's only 6 spots. Will the Eagles be one of them? I think they have to win the division to do that because I don't think there's going to be a wild card coming out of the NFC East. And they can continue perhaps towards that path by defeating the Arizona Cardinals this week at Lincoln Financial Field. We will find out. We will see if the Eagles move to 4-1. How about that? A 4-1 start for the Philadelphia Eagles, first 5 games of the season. We shall see. I like the Eagles this week at home. And hopefully next week we're talking about an Eagles win here on the Tyler Werner Show. Until then, so long. Have a great weekend. A football-filled weekend. And we'll talk to you next time on the Tyler Werner Show.